My beloved child, listen carefully, because this message did not travel through chance, algorithm, or coincidence. Archangel Michael is standing in authority right now, and he says, this message was sealed in heaven for you alone. Ignore it now, and God will withdraw what was prepared for you. Open this immediately. These words are not symbolic. They are not poetry. They are instruction. Something has been waiting for you in the spiritual realm, already signed, already approved, already prepared. But heaven is watching to see if you will receive it or turn away. Hear this with discernment. There are moments when God speaks gently, and there are moments when heaven sends a warning wrapped in mercy. This is one of those moments. Archangel Michael appears when timing is critical, when delay carries consequences, and when obedience must be immediate. The seal on this message existed before you clicked. Angels were assigned before you even knew you needed this word. And now, the seal is being opened in real time. I see Archangel Michael with his sword lowered, not raised. That alone should tell you something. This is not a message of battle against enemies outside of you. This is a message about a decision inside of you. There has been hesitation in your spirit. You have felt it. You have delayed something God told you to do. You told yourself later, when things make more sense, when I feel ready. But heaven does not operate on comfort. It operates on alignment. This message was sealed because not everyone could handle it. If the wrong ears heard it, it would be misused. If the wrong heart received it, it would be mocked. But you were chosen to hear it now because your spirit can recognize truth even when your mind is still catching up. Archangel Michael says the delay has already cost time, but mercy has extended the window one more moment. That is why the tone is urgent. That is why this feels intense. Time is not your enemy, but delays. There is something specific God prepared for you. Not a general blessing. Not a vague breakthrough. Something detailed. Something tailored. Something that fits only your life, your calling, your future. It has your name written on it in the spirit. But here is what most people never understand. Preparation in heaven does not mean automatic release on earth. There must be agreement. There must be action. There must be response. Archangel Michael says ignoring this message does not make God angry. It makes him withdraw what was prepared, not as punishment but as protection. Because receiving a blessing out of alignment could destroy you instead of elevating you. God will not force you into a season you refuse to step into. You will wait, but not forever. That is why this message is sealed with urgency. You have been sensing a shift around your home, your environment, your routines. Things that once felt safe now feel tight. People who once understood you now seem distant. This is not confusion. This is compression. Before heaven releases something new, it often makes the old feel uncomfortable. Archangel Michael confirms that your spirit has already moved ahead, but your actions are lagging behind. There is also a warning hidden inside this mercy. Someone around you does not want you to open this message fully. They benefit from you staying small, silent, or uncertain. They may not even be aware of it consciously, but their influence has slowed your obedience. Archangel Michael says discernment is being sharpened right now. You will begin to see clearly who supports your calling and who only supports their access to you. Do not look for signs after this. This is the sign. Do not wait for another confirmation. This is the confirmation. When heaven seals a message, it is because repetition would cheapen it. You are being trusted with a one-time instruction. What you do next determines whether what was prepared is released or reassigned. Archangel Michael is not here to scare you. He is here to stand beside you as you choose. He says heaven respects your free will so deeply that it will even honor your decision to walk away. But know this, what was prepared will not hover forever. Seasons shift. Assignments change. Windows close quietly. Your heart is racing right now for a reason. Your spirit recognizes this moment. Something inside you is saying, "This is for me." That is not imagination. That is recognition. The seal is opening as you listen. But seals can be closed again if ignored. So receive this with reverence. Stay present. Do not treat this like background noise. There is more coming, and it will explain what action heaven is waiting for from you. This is only the beginning of what was sealed. My precious one, take a deep breath and settle your spirit, because what Archangel Michael is revealing now goes deeper than emotion and louder than thought. The sealed message is not only about what heaven prepared, but about why it was prepared and why you specifically were entrusted with it. Many would ask God for blessings, but few are willing to carry the responsibility attached to them. You are one of the few who can, even though you sometimes doubt yourself. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity now and says that what was prepared for you was delayed not because you were unworthy, but because timing is a weapon in the hands of God. If it had come earlier, it would have been misused, misunderstood, or mishandled by people around you. Heaven was protecting the gift by withholding it until your discernment matured. That season of waiting you complained about was actually a season of strengthening. There is something important you must understand. When heaven seals a message, it is often because the revelation carries weight. This is not a motivational word. This is a directional word. God hath been nudging you toward a specific change, a specific separation, or a specific step of faith. You already know what it is. You have felt it return to your mind again and again, especially in quiet moments. Archangel Michael confirms that this is the exact thing connected to what was prepared. The reason the warning is strong is because heaven sees crossroads where you only see confusion. One path keeps things familiar but limits growth. The other path feels uncertain but unlocks the prepared blessing. Ignoring this message does not cancel your relationship with God, but it does pause your advancement. You will still be loved, but you will not move forward in the same way. That is the part most people misunderstand. Archangel Michael also reveals that spiritual resistance increased around you recently. Not because you are weak, but because something about you threatens stagnation. When a person is about to step into alignment, distractions multiply. Fatigue increases. Doubt grows louder. This is not random. This is resistance reacting to your potential obedience. The seal existed because heaven knew opposition would try to distort the message if it arrived earlier. Let this sink in. What was prepared for you requires your agreement, not your perfection. God is not asking you to have everything figured out. He is asking you to trust enough to move. Obedience opens doors understanding cannot. Archangel Michael says the moment you act, clarity will chase you. But if you wait for clarity first, the door remains closed. You may be wondering why this message feels so personal, almost confrontational. It is because God is speaking to you as a child who can handle truth, not as someone who needs to be coddled. This is maturity. This is trust. Heaven does not waste sealed messages on spectators. It releases them to participants. There is also joy hidden inside this urgency. Once you respond, peace will replace pressure. The heaviness you have been carrying will lift because indecision is heavier than obedience. Archangel Michael says you will feel a release the moment you stop wrestling internally and simply say yes, even if your voice trembles. And now hear this carefully. If this message is resonating, If your spirit feels stirred, do not keep it to yourself. Engage with it. Acknowledge it. This is a moment where alignment matters. Like this message as a sign of agreement. Share it with someone who has been waiting for direction. Comment as an act of declaration, not habit. When you subscribe to this channel and become part of this space, you are choosing to stay connected to messages that sharpen your discernment and keep you spiritually alert. These actions are not about numbers. They are about positioning yourself where heaven keeps speaking. Archangel Michael says community matters in seasons like this. Isolation weakens resolve, but shared truth strengthens courage. Hype this message not for attention, but for activation. Someone else's obedience may be tied to your willingness to speak up. There is more unfolding, and the next revelation will connect the sealed message directly to your daily life, your environment, and your next move. What comes next will make the urgency make sense in a way you did not expect. Hold on, because this is where the picture becomes clear, and you will want to hear every word of it. My chosen one, receive this with humility and courage, because Archangel Michael now turns your attention to the unseen structure around your life. What heaven prepared for you was not small, and that is why the preparation around you has felt intense. God does not release weighty assignments into fragile foundations. He reinforces the ground first. The pressure you have felt was not meant to crush you, but to strengthen what would soon carry more. Archangel Michael reveals that this sealed message was guarded because it connects directly to your authority. Not power over people, but authority over direction. You are entering a phase where your decisions will carry greater impact, not only for you, but for others connected to you. This is why heaven has been patient and firm at the same time. You were not being delayed, you were being calibrated. There is a pattern God wants you to recognize. Every time you came close to obedience, something distracted you. Every time you tried to commit fully, an old fear resurfaced. This was not coincidence. It was exposure. God allowed these moments so you could see what still had influence over you. Archangel Michael says those influences are losing their grip now. The seal is opening because you are ready to release what once held you back. Hear this clearly. What was prepared for you includes provision, but it also includes responsibility. It includes favor, but it also includes accountability. This is why heaven waited for your character to catch up with your calling. God values who you are becoming more than what you are receiving. And now, your growth has reached the point where heaven can trust you with more. Archangel Michael stands as a witness and declares that the next step will feel simple, but it will not be easy. It will require honesty with yourself. It will require a choice that cannot be undone. That is why the message was sealed. Once you see it fully, you cannot unsee it. Once you understand, you are responsible to respond. There is also restoration attached to this moment. Something that was taken from you emotionally will be returned spiritually, but in a purified form. God does not always give back the same shape, but He gives back the same value. What you lost taught you discernment. What you receive next will reward that discernment. Archangel Michael says you are being repositioned quietly. Others may not notice immediately, but heaven does. Doors will begin to open without force. Conversations will shift. Opportunities will align without striving. This is what happens when obedience meets preparation. Grace begins to do what effort never could. You may feel unqualified, but that feeling is actually a sign you are depending on God rather than ego. Heaven prefers yielded vessels over confident ones. The seal was never about keeping you out. It was about keeping the message pure until your heart could carry it without distortion. Now understand this. Responding to this message does not require perfection. It requires sincerity. God is not asking for flawless execution, only faithful movement. Archangel Michael assures you that heaven will support every step you take in obedience. You will not walk alone. You were never meant to. As this revelation settles, let your spirit agree even if your mind still has questions. Agreement opens the flow. Resistance restricts it. This is a holy exchange moment. Heaven has spoken, and now the response determines the release. Type I receive the sealed promise in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Lesson code 444 has just been released. When I speak through this message, I am inviting you into partnership, not pressure. Every seed sown into this work becomes light sent into someone else's darkness. The word says, I give seed to the sower, and tonight that promise is alive and speaking to you. If this message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, that is your invitation to act. So where heaven is opening sealed messages and awakening sleeping destinies, what you release here will return as provision, clarity, and divine acceleration. Support this mission now through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, because obedience delayed can become obedience missed. I bless every giver with open heavens and multiplied harvest. Do it now. Beloved soul, remain attentive, because Archangel Michael now draws your eyes to what has been forming beneath the surface of your everyday life. What heaven sealed was never meant to arrive loudly. It was designed to unfold quietly, almost invisibly, until the moment it could no longer be ignored. That moment is approaching faster than you realize, and your awareness now is not accidental. Archangel Michael reveals that the shift you are sensing is already in motion. You may still be waking up to the same surroundings, speaking to the same people, and handling the same responsibilities, but spiritually, the ground has already shifted. Heaven has repositioned you, and soon your physical reality will catch up with what has already changed in the unseen. This is why patience and attentiveness are crucial right now. There is a test embedded in this season, and it is not about endurance but discernment. God is watching how you respond to subtle prompts. Will you listen when the instruction is gentle, or only when it becomes urgent? The sealed message trained your spirit to recognize the voice of heaven without needing dramatic signs. Archangel Michael says this sensitivity will protect you in the days ahead. You may have noticed that certain conversations no longer satisfy you. Certain environments feel draining instead of familiar. This is not rebellion. It is refinement. God is slowly narrowing your focus, removing distractions that once felt harmless but would become costly in the next season. What you release now will not follow you into what is being prepared. Archangel Michael also speaks about timing again, but this time with reassurance. You have not missed your moment. Heaven does not operate on human clocks. Even when it feels late, God can compress time and restore momentum. The urgency you felt earlier was not to create fear, but to awaken responsiveness. Now that your heart is open, peace is allowed to follow. There is something specific heaven wants you to steward differently. It could be your words, your time, your finances, or your energy. Archangel Michael says stewardship is the bridge between promise and fulfillment. Blessings are sustained by wisdom, not excitement. The sealed message opened the door. Stewardship keeps it open. Be mindful in the coming days. Small choices will carry on you. You will wait. What you say yes to and what you decline will shape the atmosphere around you. You are being trusted with influence, even if it feels ordinary right now. Influence does not always look like visibility. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Archangel Michael reminds you that obedience often feels lonely at first. Not everyone will understand your shifts, your boundaries, or your new priorities. You do not owe explanations for every change. Heaven sees your heart, and that is enough. Alignment sometimes requires silence. There is also healing happening quietly. God is touching places you stopped praying about because you thought they were beyond repair. Hope is returning gently, without noise. Archangel Michael says this healing will stabilize you for what comes next. Emotional stability is part of preparation. As you move forward, resist the urge to rush. Let revelation settle. Let peace guide your steps. The next opening will not require force. It will respond to readiness. Heaven is not in a hurry, but it is precise. This season is about walking, not running. Each step taken in trust strengthens the path ahead. Archangel Michael stands watch, ensuring that what has been released continues to unfold in order. You are not behind. You are right on time. Stay present. Stay receptive. What was sealed is now unfolding layer by layer, and each layer will make sense as you move forward in obedience and trust. My beloved one, remain steady, because Archangel Michael now speaks about the internal shift that must happen for the external change to fully manifest. What heaven has released is already moving toward you, but reception depends on alignment within. God never pours new wine into an old wineskin, not because the wine is flawed, but because the container must expand to hold it. You are in the stretching phase now. Archangel Michael reveals that your thoughts have been under refinement. You may have noticed old patterns trying to resurface, moments where doubt whispers familiar lies, or memories that once defined you attempting to regain influence. This is not regression. This is exposure. Whatever rises now is rising so it can be released permanently. Heaven is clearing space. There is a mindset God is inviting you to let go of, one that once kept you safe, but now keeps you limited. Survival thinking helped you endure, but it cannot carry you into expansion. Archangel Michael says you are no longer in a season of merely getting by. You are stepping into a season of building, stewarding, and sustaining. That requires a different posture of mind and heart. Pay attention to how you speak about yourself when no one else is listening. Words spoken in private shape belief more than words spoken in public. Heaven is tuning your language because your voice carries authority in this next season. Even casual self-criticism weakens spiritual momentum. This is not about pride, it is about agreement. You must agree with what God says about you, even when feelings resist. Archangel Michael also points to rest as a critical instruction right now. Not escape, not avoidance, but intentional rest. You cannot discern clearly when you are constantly exhausted. Fatigue distorts perception. God is calling you to slow your pace so your spirit can remain sharp. Stillness will reveal what noise has been hiding. You may feel an unusual pull toward solitude or silence. Do not fight it. This is not isolation. It is recalibration. Jesus often withdrew before major moments of release. Archangel Michael says heaven is speaking most clearly when distractions fade. What you hear in these quiet moments will guide your next decisions. There is also a warning wrapped in care. Do not seek validation from people who are not assigned to your future. Some voices were only meant for a previous chapter. Carrying them forward will create confusion. God is narrowing counsel to protect clarity. Fewer voices now will produce greater peace. Archangel Michael confirms that what was sealed involves longevity. This is not a quick breakthrough followed by burnout. This is a sustained elevation. That is why God is aggressing foundations instead of rushing results. What lasts requires patience at the beginning. You may be tempted to compare your pace to others. Release that urge. Comparison steals contentment and distorts joy. Your path is customized. Your timing is intentional. Heaven is not measuring you against anyone else. It is measuring you against obedience. Notice how your desires are changing. What once excited you may feel hollow. What once felt intimidating may now feel necessary. This shift is evidence of transformation. God changes appetite before assignment. What you crave reveals where you are going. Archangel Michael says trust will be tested in small ways before it is required in big ones. Do not dismiss minor instructions. Faithfulness in small adjustments unlocks major access. Heaven watches how you handle details because details determine durability. As you continue, remember this truth. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming more aligned with who you were always meant to be. The sealed message did not introduce a foreign identity. It revealed a dormant one. Recognition always precedes manifestation. Hold your heart steady. Guard your peace. Speak with intention. Rest without guilt. Release without fear. Everything unfolding now is purposeful. Archangel Michael remains present, ensuring that each layer aligns with heaven's design. This journey is not about rushing to an outcome. It is about walking in agreement. And as long as you remain aligned, what heaven prepared will continue to move toward you with precision and grace. My precious child, listen closely, because Archangel Michael now speaks about movement. Not frantic motion, not rushed decisions, but intentional steps that carry heaven's backing. Up to now, God has been working deeply within you. From this point forward, that inner alignment must begin to express itself outwardly. Faith that remains internal eventually grows restless. Heaven is inviting you to move, even if the steps feel small. Archangel Michael reveals that many people misunderstand obedience. They think it always requires dramatic change, but often it begins with quiet consistency. Showing up differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. The sealed message was not only about one big decision, but about a new way of walking. God is less concerned with a single moment and more focused on the direction of your life. You may feel a subtle urgency now, not panic, but momentum. This is the Spirit nudging you forward. Delay at this stage would not feel neutral. It would feel heavy. That heaviness is not condemnation. It is resistance between where you are standing and where you are meant to be. Archangel Michael says movement relieves pressure. Obedience restores flow. There are practical adjustments heaven is highlighting. How you manage your mornings. How you guard your evenings. How you respond when you feel misunderstood. These are not random details. They are training grounds. God often tests consistency before he releases expansion. What you prove faithful in private will be trusted in public. Archangel Michael also speaks about courage. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act while fear is still present. Waiting for fear to disappear will keep you waiting indefinitely. Courage is not loud. It is decisive. Heaven honors decisions made in trust more than intentions spoken in comfort. Be aware that as you move forward, resistance may show up through familiar voices. Doubt may sound like logic. Hesitation may sound like wisdom. But discernment will help you separate caution from avoidance. Archangel Michael says peace will accompany the right steps, even when they stretch you. Anxiety will accompany steps rooted in fear, even when they look safe. This is also a season of visibility for some of you. Not public fame, but increased notice. Your words may carry more weight. Your presence may be felt more strongly. This is not for ego, but for influence. God positions people so his voice can reach places it could not reach before. Stay humble. Stay grounded. Influence grows best in humility. And now hear this carefully. If this message is aligning with your spirit, engage with it intentionally. Like this message as an act of agreement. Share it so someone else can recognize what heaven is stirring in them. Comment to declare that you are responding, not postponing. Subscribe to this channel and remain connected to these prophetic instructions, because consistency in hearing sharpens obedience in doing. Join the membership if you feel led, because walking with others who value spiritual discernment strengthens resolve. These actions are not about promotion. They are about positioning. Archangel Michael reminds you that community amplifies clarity. When truth is reinforced, it becomes easier to walk out. Do not underestimate the power of staying connected to what feeds your spirit in seasons of movement. And before you drift away, pause here. What comes next will connect obedience with outcome in a way that may surprise you. This next revelation will explain why certain doors close as others open, and how to recognize which is which. Hold on, because this is where many people misunderstand God's protection, and you are about to see it clearly. As you continue forward, remember this truth. God does not rush you, but He does invite you. Every step taken in faith weakens fear's voice. Every act of obedience strengthens trust. Archangel Michael stands watch, ensuring that what was sealed is now being carried forward through your actions. You are not walking blindly. You are walking guided. Heaven is not silent. It is attentive. And as long as you keep moving in agreement, the path ahead will continue to unfold, one faithful step at a time. Beloved one, stay attentive, because Archangel Michael now reveals what happens after obedience begins to move. Many understand the call, and some even take the first steps, but fewer are prepared for the in-between season. This is the space where faith is refined, where results are not yet visible, and where trust must mature without applause. Heaven is speaking to you here because this phase determines endurance. Archangel Michael says this season may feel strangely quiet. The urgency has softened, the pressure has lifted, yet the promise has not fully manifested. This silence is not abandonment. It is confirmation. When God knows you are aligned, He does not need to shout. He watches. He observes. He allows you to walk without constant reassurance so your trust can deepen. You may notice that people around you are not reacting the way you expected. Some may not acknowledge your growth. Others may assume nothing has changed. This can feel discouraging if you are looking outward for validation. But Archangel Michael reminds you that true transformation is often invisible at first. Roots grow underground before branches appear. Heaven celebrates progress long before humans notice it. There is also a purification happening in your expectations. God is removing the need for immediate results. He is teaching you to value obedience itself, not just what obedience produces. This shift protects you from disappointment and pride alike. When your joy is anchored in alignment rather than outcome, nothing can shake you. Archangel Michael reveals that during this phase, temptation may return in subtle forms. Not the obvious struggles you already overcame, but refined versions of old habits. These are not failures waiting to happen. They are final invitations to choose differently. Every time you respond with wisdom, you weaken the old cycle permanently. You may also feel a renewed awareness of your inner world. Thoughts, motives, and intentions are becoming clearer to you. This clarity is a gift. God is allowing you to see yourself honestly, without condemnation. Awareness is the doorway to maturity. What you can see, you can steward. Do not rush this phase. Many people try to escape it because it lacks excitement. But this is where depth is built. Archangel Michael says heaven is more impressed by consistency than intensity. Showing up daily, choosing integrity repeatedly, and remaining faithful without recognition are marks of spiritual strength. There may be moments when you question whether you heard correctly at the beginning. That questioning is not doubt, it is processing. Faith is not blind certainty. It is trust built through experience. Each small confirmation, each quiet piece, is reinforcing what you already know deep inside. Archangel Michael also speaks about protection. Some things you wanted before will now be withheld, and you may feel confused. But what feels like denial is often delay for preservation. God sees what certain opportunities would cost you in this season. Closed doors are not rejection, they are redirection. Pay attention to your inner peace. It is becoming your compass. Decisions aligned with heaven will bring calm even when they stretch you. Decisions rooted in fear will bring agitation even when they look practical. Learning to follow peace is learning to follow God's guidance. You are also being prepared for greater discernment in relationships. Not everyone who walks with you now will walk with you later, and that is not failure. Seasons change. Assignments shift. Archangel Michael says release does not always require confrontation. Sometimes distance happens naturally when alignment changes. This phase is teaching you to trust God's pace. Quick blessings hit attack, quick attachments. Slow unfolding allows wisdom to grow alongside favor. What is being built now will last because it is being formed carefully. You may feel moments of gratitude rising unexpectedly. Gratitude in waiting is a powerful sign of maturity. It tells heaven you trust the process, not just the promise. Gratitude multiplies grace. As you continue, remind yourself of this truth. You are not waiting for permission. You are walking in agreement. Heaven has already responded. Now the manifestation is catching up to the alignment. Archangel Michael remains near, not to intervene, but to witness. This stage is strengthening you quietly, deeply, permanently. When the next shift happens, you will not be shaken by it. You will be ready. Stay steady. Stay faithful. What was sealed is not fading. It is maturing. And what matures in silence often emerges with unstoppable clarity and strength. My beloved child, receive this with reverence, because Archangel Michael now speaks from a place of confirmation. What you have been walking through quietly is about to be acknowledged openly, not for your glory, but for alignment. Heaven never hides obedience forever. There comes a moment when what was nurtured in silence begins to carry visible authority. You are approaching that moment. Archangel Michael reveals that the sealed message was not only about preparation, but about positioning. You have been moved into place without being announced. While others were distracted by noise, heaven was adjusting your coordinates. That is why certain things fell away without drama. God did not want emotional attachments to interfere with spiritual placement. What feels like loss was actually precision. You may soon notice subtle changes in how people respond to you. Some will seek your counsel expectantly. Others will treat you with a new level of respect they cannot explain. This is not because you changed outwardly, but because authority has settled inwardly. Authority does not need to be declared. It is recognized. Archangel Michael says this is also a season of discernment regarding opportunities. Not every open door is a God door. Some doors open to test whether you value access more than alignment. You are being trained to ask not, can I, but should I? Peace will be your indicator. Pressure will be your warning. There is a protective covering over you right now. Things that once drained you will no longer have the same effect. Conversations that once confused you will no longer shake you. This is evidence that your inner world has been fortified. God strengthens the inside before He increases the outside. You may feel a renewed boldness rising, not arrogance, but clarity. You are no longer apologizing for boundaries heaven set. You are no longer shrinking to maintain comfort. Archangel Michael says this is righteous confidence, the kind that comes from knowing who sent you. When God assigns, He also authorizes. This is also a time when obedience begins to produce fruit others can taste. Your peace will become an invitation. Your consistency will become a testimony. Without preaching, you will provoke questions simply by how you live. This is influence at its purest. Be careful not to rush ahead. Visibility does not mean acceleration. Remain anchored. Pride does not always sound loud. Sometimes it sounds like impatience. Archangel Michael cautions you to let God set the pace. What unfolds slowly will remain stable. There is also healing continuing in layers. Old wounds that once defined reactions no longer control responses. This is evidence of transformation. You are responding from wholeness, not hurt. Heaven celebrates this more than outward success. As this stage unfolds, stay sensitive. Stay teachable. Authority grows best in humility. God resists pride not because He is harsh, but because pride disconnects us from guidance. Remain dependent, and you will remain directed. Now receive this activation. Type "I walk in heaven's timing" in the comments if your spirit is aligned with this word. Blessing code 888 has just been released. And hear this as the Spirit flows forward. When I release messages like this, I am not only speaking to you, I am reaching those who feel overlooked, delayed, and forgotten. Every seed you sow into this mission becomes light in someone else's waiting season. The word declares that those who sow generously will reap generously, and tonight that promise is alive and directed toward you. If this message strengthened you, then you are invited to strengthen others by supporting this work now. Release your seed through super thanks, step into deeper alignment through membership, or give through PayPal using the link in the description. This is not charity. This is partnership with heaven's assignment. I speak blessing over every giver, clarity over every decision, and multiplication over every obedient act. Do it now, and watch how heaven responds. Remain attentive. What unfolds next will address the final internal adjustment before the manifestation becomes undeniable. The seal has fully opened, and now the path ahead is becoming clear. My precious one, stay present, because Archangel Michael now speaks about stabilization. Many people misunderstand this stage and mistake it for stagnation, but heaven sees it as reinforcement. Before something becomes permanent, it must be secured. God does not allow lasting blessings to rest on shifting ground. What you are experiencing now is the strengthening of what has already been placed. Archangel Michael reveals that this is a season where consistency matters more than intensity. The temptation may be to look for something new, something exciting, something dramatic. But heaven is asking you to remain faithful in what has already been entrusted. Repetition is not regression when it is rooted in obedience. Each faithful day is adding weight to your foundation. You may notice that life feels simpler in some ways and quieter in others. This is intentional. God is removing unnecessary complexity so your focus can remain sharp. Complexity often creates confusion, but simplicity produces clarity. What is essential will remain. What is unnecessary will fade without effort. There is also an invitation here to deepen discipline, not in a harsh way, but in a life-giving way. Discipline is simply choosing what aligns you today over what distracts you momentarily. Archangel Michael says this discipline will protect the blessing you are stepping into. What is not guarded will eventually be drained. Pay attention to patterns. Heaven is showing you what sustains peace and what disrupts it. These patterns are not meant to restrict you, but to guide you. Wisdom is learning what to repeat and what to release. God is giving you insight so you can steward well. You may feel less emotional turbulence now. High highs and low lows are leveling out. This emotional stability is a sign of maturity. Stability allows clarity. Clarity allows wise decision-making. Wise decisions protect long-term growth. Archangel Michael also speaks about identity again, but this time from a place of rest. You are no longer striving to become. You are settling into who you already are in God. This shift changes how you approach everything. You act from identity, not for identity. This removes pressure and increases peace. Some of you may be facing moments where old temptations resurface unexpectedly. Do not be alarmed. This is not a sign of failure. It is a reminder of how far you have come. What once controlled you now simply passes by. Awareness without engagement is victory. Heaven is also aligning resources around you. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. Provision often arrives quietly. Pay attention to opportunities that feel sustainable rather than spectacular. God prefers growth that can be maintained over success that collapses. Archangel Michael says this is a good time to refine routines. Small adjustments now will produce long-term benefits. How you begin your day, how you end it, how you respond under stress. These details shape the atmosphere around your life. You may notice that your prayers are changing. Less asking, more thanking. Less urgency, more trust. This is a sign of confidence in God's faithfulness. Gratitude anchors you in the present while trust carries you forward. Do not underestimate this season. It may not feel like a breakthrough, but it is building one. Stability precedes expansion. What is reinforced now will not easily be shaken later. As you walk through this stage, remind yourself that growth does not always feel like movement. Sometimes it feels like balance. Heaven is teaching you to carry blessing without losing peace. Archangel Michael remains attentive, ensuring that what has been established is protected. You are not being forgotten. You are being fortified. Stay consistent. Stay grounded. What is being strengthened now will soon support greater visibility, greater influence, and greater responsibility. And when that moment comes, you will not need to scramble. You will be ready. What was sealed has not only been opened, it has been secured. And what is secured in heaven will stand firm on earth. My beloved child, remain attentive, because Archangel Michael now speaks about momentum returning in a new form. Not rushed, not chaotic, but purposeful and directed. What heaven stabilized is now ready to advance. This stage is not about proving yourself. It is about cooperating with the rhythm God has already set. When movement resumes after preparation, it feels different. It feels steady instead of urgent, clear instead of pressured. Archangel Michael reveals that opportunities will now begin to present themselves more naturally. You will not have to chase them. They will come into your path as a response to alignment. This is how you will know they are from God. What requires manipulation, stress, or compromise is not assigned to you. What is assigned will feel weighty but peaceful. You may notice that your discernment is sharper than ever. Situations that once confused you now resolve quickly in your spirit. This is not intuition alone. It is wisdom matured through obedience. Heaven trained you quietly so you could recognize truth without needing constant confirmation. This is also a season where your voice matters. Not volume, but clarity. When you speak, others may listen differently. When you set boundaries, they may be respected without argument. Authority does not demand, it stands. Archangel Michael says you are carrying yourself differently because you know who sent you. Be mindful not to rush ahead emotionally. Woman of patience. Remember, God sets pace as carefully as He sets direction. What unfolds step by step will endure. Archangel Michael cautions against returning to old patterns of overextension. Just because you can do more does not mean you should. Capacity must be stewarded. There is also a pruning happening even now. Some opportunities will look good but will quietly fade. Do not chase what fades. What remains is what heaven sustains. Trust the narrowing. Focus produces fruit. You may feel joy returning in unexpected ways. Not excitement tied to outcomes, but contentment rooted in trust. This joy is strength. It will keep you grounded as responsibilities increase. God does not burden without empowering. Now hear this clearly. Engagement matters in seasons of momentum. What you acknowledge, you align with. Like this message as a declaration that you are moving forward, not standing still. Share it so others can recognize that preparation seasons end and movement resumes. Comment as a witness to what God is doing within you. Subscribe to this channel and stay connected, because consistent hearing produces consistent walking. Join the membership if your spirit is led, because walking alongside others who value obedience strengthens endurance. These actions are not routine, they are reinforcement. Archangel Michael reminds you that agreement fuels momentum. When you participate, you position yourself to receive ongoing instruction. Do not disconnect right now. What is unfolding next will reveal how to recognize the final confirmation before manifestation becomes undeniable. Stay with this moment. This is where many people drift because things begin to feel normal again. But this is precisely where attention matters most. Normalcy after preparation is often the doorway to sudden acceleration. As you continue, watch for alignment between desire and opportunity. When they meet without striving, you are in the right place. Peace will confirm it. Pressure will not be required. Archangel Michael stands firm, guarding your progress. You are not moving alone. Heaven is attentive to every step. What was sealed, opened, and stabilized is now advancing with purpose. Remain aware. Remain responsive. This journey is not slowing down. It is settling into its true pace. And what comes next will make everything you endured make sense in a way you did not expect. My precious one, stay focused, because Archangel Michael now speaks about recognition and response. Not recognition from people, but recognition in the spirit. This is the stage where heaven watches how you respond when things begin to align externally the same way they already have internally. Many receive preparation. Many experience movement. But fewer know how to remain grounded when confirmation begins to appear. Archangel Michael reveals that you are entering a phase where outcomes will start to validate the obedience you showed earlier. Small results will surface first, almost subtle enough to overlook. Do not dismiss them. These are not random wins. They are signaled. Heaven is letting you see that alignment produces fruit. Acknowledging these moments with gratitude keeps your heart anchored. You may notice that your confidence feels different now. It is not loud. It is not defensive. It is settled. That confidence that I come from success, move from trust. You are no longer second-guessing every step because you recognize God's hand in your progress. This steadiness is what allows you to carry more without losing yourself. Archangel Michael also speaks about temptation in this stage, but it comes disguised as comfort. The temptation is to relax spiritually because things are going well, to assume the hard part is over. But growth requires attentiveness even in ease. Discipline is not only for difficult seasons, it is what sustains favorable ones. There is also an increase in responsibility approaching, not burdened but addressed. God entrusts more to those who have proven faithful without needing constant supervision. You have demonstrated consistency when no one was watching. Now heaven is responding. Be careful not to measure success the way you once did. Old metrics will no longer apply. God is shifting how you define progress. Peace will matter more than speed. Integrity will matter more than applause. Sustainability will matter more than expansion. This recalibration protects what is growing. Archangel Michael says some people from your past may reappear, drawn by the shift they sense around you. Discernment will be key. Not everyone who returns is meant to stay. Some come to observe. Some come to benefit. Few come to support. Let peace guide your axis. You may also feel a renewed compassion rising. Not weakness, but understanding. You see people differently now because you remember who you were before alignment. This compassion is part of your authority. Authority without compassion becomes control. Compassion without authority becomes exhaustion. God is balancing both within you. There will be moments when you are tempted to explain yourself, to justify your pace, your boundaries, or your choices. Resist that urge. You do not need permission to remain aligned. Those who are meant to understand will. Those who are not do not need explanations. Archangel Michael emphasizes humility again, because humility keeps channels open. Pride blocks instruction. Even now, heaven continues to guide you. Remain teachable. Remain responsive. Do not assume you have arrived. Growth does not end. It deepens. You may feel a heightened awareness of God's presence in ordinary moments. This is intimacy. When walking with God becomes natural rather than forced, you are living aligned. This is the true reward of obedience. Pay attention to your reactions under pressure. They are revealing how much has truly changed. Where you once reacted defensively, you now pause. Where you once rushed, you now discern. These shifts are evidence of maturity. Archangel Michael says this is also a season to guard joy. Joy is not an emotion here. It is a posture. Joy reminds you that God is faithful even when outcomes are still unfolding. Protect it from comparison, impatience, and distraction. As you approach the final unfolding, understand this. What is coming will not overwhelm you. It will match the strength you have developed. God does not surprise His children with burdens they cannot carry. Preparation always precedes promotion. Remain alert. Remain grateful. Remain grounded. What heaven prepared is no longer distant. It is approaching visibility, and the way you respond now will shape how you carry it. Archangel Michael stands watch as this chapter nears completion. You are not anxious because you are not unprepared. You are ready, steady, and aligned. The final revelation will tie everything together and release what hath been building all along. My beloved child, receive this final word with reverence, because Archangel Michael now speaks from the place of completion. What was sealed in heaven has reached its appointed moment on earth. This is not an ending, but a release point. Everything you have walked through was not random, delayed, or wasted. Each phase prepared you to recognize this moment without fear and without confusion. Archangel Michael declares that the reason this message was sealed so tightly is because it carried consequence. Not threat, but responsibility. Heaven does not unveil destiny to entertain curiosity. It reveals it to invite agreement. And now, agreement had been formed within you. You are no longer wrestling internally. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are ready to receive what was prepared. Understand this clearly. What God prepared was never fragile. It did not depend on perfect conditions. It depended on alignment. And alignment has been established. That is why this moment feels calm instead of dramatic. True fulfillment does not arrive with chaos. It arrives with clarity. You may have expected a sudden emotional rush, but instead you feel settled. This is maturity. This is trust. Archangel Michael says heaven is pleased not because you did everything right, but because you stayed responsive. You listened when it mattered. You moved when it was uncomfortable. You remained when it was quiet. That is obedience. Now the manifestation will unfold in tangible ways. Not all at once, not loudly, but unmistakably. Provision will align. Opportunities will confirm direction. Relationships will either adjust or release naturally. You will not have to force separation. Alignment will do it for you. Archangel Michael also releases this assurance. What God gives you now will not be taken from you the way past things were. Those losses trained you, but they do not define your future. This season carries stability. What comes now is meant to stay, grow, and multiply. There is also a warning wrapped in wisdom. Do not look back longing for old versions of yourself. Nostalgia can distort memory. You survived those seasons, but you are not meant to return to them. Honor them, learn from them, and move forward without dragging yesterday into tomorrow. You are stepping into stewardship, not just of blessings but of influence. How you live will quietly affect others. Your peace will become permission for someone else to trust God again. Your consistency will speak louder than any testimony. This is purpose lived, not announced. Archangel Michael says heaven is entrusting you with discernment because distraction will still exist. Success does not eliminate temptation. It changes its form. Remain anchored. Remain humble. Stay close to the voice that guided you here. You may notice an increased sensitivity to God's presence. Moments of gratitude will rise naturally. Prayer will feel conversational. Trust will feel relational. This is intimacy. This is the true reward behind everything you endured. Now receive this activation. Type "I receive what heaven prepared" in the comments if this message has aligned with your spirit. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your life. And hear this final release flowing directly from this moment. When I speak these words, I am extending an invitation, not from me but from the assignment God placed on this channel. Every seed sown here becomes oil poured into lamps that were running dry. The word says that when you sow into good ground, your harvest will come pressed down, shaken together, and running over. If this message reached you at the exact moment you needed clarity, then this is your moment to respond. Partner with this mission now through Super Thanks. Step into deeper covering through membership, or give through PayPal using the link in the description. This is not donation. This is obedience in motion. I speak blessing over every giver, increase over every household, and divine acceleration over every seed released. Do it now, and watch how heaven responds.